Hey guys, how's it going? Murmaider here from Murmaider 1823, and today I have a story to share with you guys. That's right, it's story time, and we're gonna get into the first time that I tried Delsym. And for those of you that don't know what Delsym is, it's a cough syrup that if you drink enough of it, similar to triple C's and Robitussin, you will trip balls. You can buy it over the counter, and the main ingredient is DXM or dextromethorphan. And my God, the stuff is crazy. Don't try it. Don't do anything that I say in this video. Do as I say, don't do as I do, or don't do as I say, do as I preach. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, let's get into the story. Back when I was about 18 years old, this is several years ago, long time, I'm much older now. But I was homeless for about 3 years, and I was on a serious just drug kick. Like, I was doing whatever the heck I could get my hands on. And me and my buddy Charles, names changed for obvious reasons because I'm not giving away identities, we were out all night walking the streets, and he had a great idea. He said, "You know what, bud? Let's go to Target and let's get us some Delsym." And we had a couple bucks in our pocket, and little thief boy that he is decided to steal an extra one. I bought mine, but we walked up in there, got some Delsym, got a couple bottles of it, got about four of them, two big ones, two smaller adult ones, and we left and we went to the mall, which wasn't all that far off from where we were. It was maybe an hour-long walk away because we were walking all over the city, and it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to say the name of the city, but we walked over to the mall, and we're wandering around, and we looked for a buddy of ours who we called Mike. And Mike was younger than us by about a year or two, but he was still a good friend. He was actually my best friend at the time. And we ended up, doing the Delsym before he ever got there, like right when the mall first opened. This was so early. Like I said, we've been out all night. So we had just got to the mall, and we went out and walked out all the way to the other side of the mall, looked for mall security. We both chugged the small half-size bottles of Delsym, which, believe it or not, in the adult Delsym, it is enough to actually make you trip if you chug just the half-size bottles. And I hadn't done it before, so I didn't want to drink a whole one. But yeah, I was still pretty gone. Well, Mikey goes and meets up with us. We called him Mikey, but Mikey, whatever. It's not his real name, so it doesn't really matter. But he met up with us, and we ended up doing it. And he was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we were just like, drank some Delsym, tripping. We were waiting on the effects to kick in. See, Delsym's weird. The way that Delsym works, because it's an extended release cough syrup, it doesn't hit you all at once, so like how Robitussin or triple C's would eventually just kick in and slam you. What it does is you'll stay high for like 12 hours. So it'll kick in, maybe not 12 hours, but maybe like 8 hours. Sorry, it might be an exaggeration, but it'll kick in very slowly. It'll be like notches. Like every like 30, 45 minutes, you'll feel like a tick. Like the level of where you're at high-wise will just go up a little bit. And when it fully kicks in and you peak, boy, do you know it. And you start seeing like weird shapes in front of you. You start just feeling weird and trippy, and there's some negative side effects to it too, and why I don't recommend it, but we'll get into those in a little bit. First, we meet up with him. We go back to Barnes & Noble. He's talking to us. We didn't have any weed, so he was like, all right, well, I'll try some of the Delsym. So he drinks a bottle of the Delsym. And he didn't really know what to expect, but he knew it would get him high, so he drank it. And he drank most of the big one. We didn't let him drink the whole thing because it was new to him. But, he had a good time on it. He drank it, and he got pretty fucked up. And, there is this one kid, though. We called him Oklahoma, which you probably figured by the thumbnail of this video, wondering, what the hell does Oklahoma have to do with this? Why is Oklahoma wearing a cowboy hat? Well, we're going to get right into that right now. This kid actually came down. He was about our age. He came from Oklahoma and stayed near Mikey did. Mikey was staying in a trailer park type area, not too far from the mall. And basically this kid just somehow found us. I don't quite remember how we met this kid, but we did. And we ended up, hanging out with him just because he wouldn't leave us the hell alone. So this kid was just not very smart. like, especially when it came to drugs. I mean, this kid thought beer was good for you and thought that weed was made in a lab. And no, I'm not exaggerating. He legitimately said this. And the only way that we were able to convince him otherwise, despite having to show him that it was a plant matter substance, was to show him a picture of the plant on a cover of High Times magazine in Barnes and Nobles. And even then, he still argued with us, saying, "Nope, weed's made in a lab." But it doesn't matter. This kid was a very big redneck. He wore a cowboy hat everywhere, dressed like a straight up cowboy. And, you know, nothing against, you know, people that dress like cowboys or anything like that, but this kid was just dumb. Anyway, we were in Barnes and Nobles, and he asked what we were doing, and he goes and he's like, "What are y'all doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we're tripping on some Delsym." He's like, "What's Delsym?" Like, "It's cough syrup. It's over the counter, so we just get, you know, we got it," and we show him the bottle, and he's just like, "This ain't gonna make you trip. This is a sickness reliever." And we're just sitting there like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, watch this." And this dude goes without even asking us, just takes our shit and chugs the whole bottle right there in the middle of Barnes and Nobles in front of everybody. Like, this man downed it like he was shotgunning a beer. Like, it was just gone. So we're sitting there with our mouths gaping like, what did this guy just do? Oh my god, this is gonna be amazing. And we end up, you know, walking around for a while waiting for his, you know, to see what happens. You know, we were excited and also nervous because we were like, oh my god. I mean, we were tripping and we were like, just what's gonna happen? Is this guy gonna be okay? This guy's clearly never done anything but drink a beer before. I mean, what's he gonna expect from this? And sorry if there was noise in the background. Some stuff going on outside. Can't really control it. My apologies. But this guy drank the Delsym, and we waited. And about an hour later, it takes off. We're tripping like crazy. He starts getting hit fast because he drank a whole adult-sized bottle. And we just did not know what to do because this guy just went insane. He started changing. And by changing, I mean we went and sat in front of Barnes & Noble's, and he started ripping off his cowboy hat and his shirt and started saying, "I want to go to Spencer's and get some new clothes. I don't like this cowboy crap anymore." Like, telling he didn't want to be a redneck anymore and all this stuff. And, we go to Spencer's with him, and this tripped out dude just starts buying new clothing similar to what we were wearing. And we're just like, okay, this is cool. I guess we can get behind this. He puts it on, and we go back in front of Barnes & Noble's, and then he just, there's a lot of people out there. We're sitting where you would sit after you get, because there was a Starbucks in Barnes & Noble's there, and there was tables out front where you could drink coffee and whatever else you get from Barnes & Noble's or play games. You just congregate there. We did it all the time. And he sat down there with us, and all of a sudden he gets up, and in front of probably 40 other people coming in and out of the mall, and people sitting in front of Barnes & Noble's, because it was a very populated day that day, a lot of people, he just starts puking straight purple everywhere in the right into the bushes. Yeah, and on the freaking sidewalk. He's just puking. And he's so freaking just freaking out now, because he's just like, "Yo, what'd you do? Y'all poisoned me. Oh my god." Like, "No, we didn't, dude. You drank it on your own. Like, it had nothing to do with us." But I digress. Not the point. He started, getting sick. And at this point, we were freaking like, "Oh my god, is he going to be okay?" Because none of us were that messed up. We weren't puking. We're like, "Oh my god," because we heard some horror stories too about if you take too much Delsym and no tolerance or whatever. Like, we had a buddy who, we'll just call him Sebastian. He would, he did it a lot. And he actually drank 3 whole adult bottles one time and went into a coma for a week. And we didn't want the same thing to happen to this newbie who's never even done a single drug in his life. And we ended up, losing track of him because we were really tripping out. We went to the mall and walked into where you walk in towards the, when you get out of Barnes & Noble's, we sat down on one of the benches in the middle of the mall, and we, started listening to music, and all of a sudden he leaves, and, then Mikey and Charles just start freaking out. They're like, "Yo, we don't know where Oklahoma went. What the heck, man? He's, what if he goes and gets, killed or something, or he ODs and dies or something?" We didn't know because we figured his trip could not be topped out yet. So we're like, all right, fine. Well, I sat down in Barnes & Noble's for a little bit while they were trying to figure out where to go look. And out of nowhere, this is where one of the negative side effects of Delsym kicks in. Because it is not all fun and games and happy-go-lucky crap. No. I had an itch on the back of my head that I just didn't even realize it was an itch. I was tripping out so hard that I just started scratching it without even realizing I was scratching it. And I scratched it so much, I kid you not. The only way I figured out that I was even doing it is I took my hands off there and realized that I had scratched because it started hurting. And I looked at, like, my hands are covered in blood. So I'm like, oh my god, I scratched through my skin. So that was great. And I mean, a good amount of blood. Like, my hands were covered. So I had to do something about that. So I went and got some paper towels and I dabbed that off, whatever. And I got that straightened out. And I made sure not to scratch anymore. And I ignored the itch. And then I went and we moved on and decided to try to, go search for Oklahoma. So we did. And after roaming the mall everywhere, realizing he wasn't there, roaming the stores nearby the mall, looking around all over the place, we finally made our way back towards Mikey's place because he was staying near Mikey's. So we walk up there and we go to Oklahoma's trailer because Mikey knew where it was since he had just moved in there. It was his neighbor, and the guy was so annoying and always would tell us where he was at. And I'm going to be honest, it wasn't really a trailer. It was more of an RV-ish, but it was a very nice trailer/RV thing he had going on. And the reason that he had even came there is because there were tornadoes where he was at in Oklahoma at the time. So he decided to make a trip out, with his parents to Maryland to get away from the tornadoes. So, as probably not the most relevant thing, but we end up going knocking on his door, and he comes and answers. We're like, okay, well, technically he didn't answer. He actually yelled to the door and said, hey, come in, because the door was, like, open. So we walk in there, and I said, I guess you can call that answering. But he didn't come and answer. I misspoke. But we walk in there. We go into the, his living room where he's got this big flat screen up on the wall, and he's literally laying on the floor in his underwear and socks watching TV. And we're just like, what? Did you have a couch? Why are you laying on the floor? He's like, it's more comfortable like this. I'm like, he's sitting in his underwear. We're like, dude, why didn't you put some clothes on before you came in? He's like, I don't know. And you could tell this guy's still tripping some. But he started getting his wits about him a little better, and clearly he wasn't sick anymore. So at least we know that Oklahoma didn't die. But after this, the dude changed some. He started acting less redneckish, and it's almost like Delsym, kind of made him less of an idiot when it came to things. 'Cause he wasn't just stupid about drugs. He was stupid about, like, everything. Like, this guy, he had to have had an IQ of, like, room temperature. Like, I'm not even kidding. He wasn't, like, mentally handicapped, but I think that he just was, like, acting stupid on his own. I don't know if maybe it was poor schooling or what, or if he just chose to act that way, but he definitely acted like, he wasn't quite the smartest person, not the sharpest tool in the tool shed. I'll say that. And it wasn't just with, drugs, like I said. It was with other things, too. He was definitely not the smartest when it came to things, like determining simple math and things like that, which is fine and all, not everybody's good at math. But when it came to things along the lines of, like, reading and stuff, his reading skills weren't exactly great, but he could have a conversation with you and redneck talk real good. And I think it was all more or less just because, he thought being a redneck was cool, and being a redneck for some reason to him equaled being dumb. So, that's just how he acted. And after this experience, all of a sudden, it's like something just snapped in his brain, and he, like, learned how to read properly and speak properly, and now he could do simple math things. It was very strange, and by simple math, calculating out small things like finances, like, money, things like that, like weights, stupid things that could come up in conversation with us. He would just try to butt in on things, whether it involved him or not. So after this, sorry, I need a drink. I'm gonna get some tea real quick. I would recommend if y'all are thirsty, get a drink, maybe go grab a snack real quick, because we're gonna get a little bit further into this, and we're gonna get into my overall experience with Delsym. So go ahead and take a sip. I need a sip. Hold on. Okay, that's some good tea. All right, back to the story. Enough about Oklahoma. We've had enough on him. Point is, he changed after drinking the Delsym. He got smarter. I don't know where he's at now. I haven't spoke to the kid in like 8-9 years. I don't know. It's been forever. Because it wasn't like this was the last time I spoke to him. He was around for like a couple years after that. But it doesn't really matter. He's no longer a part of my life. it was just an interesting thing that happened. Now, we're going to get into what happened in the 3 months following that. See, I was really strapped for money. I really wanted drugs. And I couldn't really afford to go get large amounts of weed. And this was before I became a slinger of the green, we shall say, for a while. I don't do any of this anymore. I'm going to put a long story short. The only thing that I take these days is kratom. I don't take anything else. You know, occasionally, on the rarest of occasions, I will smoke weed. I don't drink or anything like that anymore. I had enough adventures back then that I don't really feel like I need them now. Isn't, an adult. I mean, I was an adult then, obviously, but like an older adult. But what happened was that I decided, Delsym was, cheap or free, depending on how you wanted to look at it. I'm not going to divulge how I got it for free, but I'm sure you can guess. I'm not going to give myself away on that. But, let's just say I got it for free pretty easily almost every day. And when you didn't have money for weed and you really wanted something and you were going and hanging out with some serious hippies at like drum circles and crap and you had nothing better to do, you wanted to do it. And it's not like I didn't have weed ever, because like I would smoke it with people and I would still be able to get some. But I actually learned something when I actually smoked. And that if you have just done Delsym either earlier that day or day prior and the effects are gone and you smoke some weed right afterwards, it will actually make the effects come back for a couple hours. You will feel very similar to what you did when you drank the Delsym. And if you mix the two, so help you God. Because I did that and you will definitely be tripping like crazy. Anyway, what happened was this. I went on a Delsym binge. Like a serious binge. Like I was doing like probably like 2 or 3 bottles throughout the day, just drinking it like I was a freaking alcoholic, but with Delsym. And I was, going to these places. Like I remember I went to like drum circle that was going on, and these people were playing or whatever at the park, and they used to have these things every like Tuesday or Wednesday. I kind of forget. But I would just go out in the middle there and just lay down with a bottle of Delsym in front of everybody and just start looking at the ground with like people just like around me staring like, is this dude okay? Because, a lot of them are tripping too. They're passing weed around and stuff. And then you got some, I remember one thing that was pretty cool. There was this girl there. She was, about my age. She wasn't bad looking or whatever. She had like these freaking, fire like things. I don't remember what they were. They're like sticks that she would like. She knew how to like twirl them around. Like, I don't know. You've probably seen them before. But she would do that at the drum circle where she would like do fire twirling or whatever. And when you're tripping out and you're looking at that, that's pretty neat because like your brain processes it really like weird, and it's just weird extrasensory perception stuff. But I was, a lot of the times watching that or watching light show things that people would do, or I'd just be laying down looking like a complete moron in front of everybody because everybody's like, what is wrong with this guy? And so, eventually I stopped when a lot of my friends were coming there just like, dude, it's time to stop. Like, just insert Filthy Frank meme here. It's time to stop. They were not having it anymore. They were like, dude, you gotta get off the Delsym, you gotta stop. So I did. And I had just gotten a new job, so I couldn't be tripping at work. So I went and I got the new job, and that's when I just went back to smoke weed, and I did other things when I could get it, But those are all things for another video. We'll talk about that another time. But yeah, man. Long story short, it had some bad side effects. My back hurt. I felt fucking just not good. I mean, it is not something that you want to do, especially not on a daily basis. Just don't ever do it. Don't even do it once. It's not worth it. It's somewhat fun when you're on it, but there's so many negatives to it. Just don't do it. If I'm going to rate that drug for what I have to say, I'd say I'd rate it a 6 out of 10. 6 because it was fun, but scratch yourself till you bleed and having all the other negative side effects and the possible death, not so fun. So we're just, 6 out of 10 sounds fair. So, I hope you guys enjoyed my little story about Delsym in Oklahoma. And hopefully, you guys learned some lessons about, the drug out of it. Maybe, if you guys ever do not listen, if you don't listen to me and you do decide to go do it yourself, I take no responsibility for your choices. But if you do, maybe now you'll have a little bit more of an idea going in what to expect. And just expect the unexpected. I'll say that. Anyway, this is Murmaider from Murmaider 1823, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one, and yeah, see you guys next time. Oh, like, subscribe, and share, please. Thank you. Bye-bye.